Welcome to Haunt Talk. As always, I'm Kim, and this is Josh, and today we have Stacy, another member of our haunted house adventuring group.
Yeah.
Today we're going to review the Canfield Scare Grounds in Canfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Located in the Canfield Fairgrounds.
Right. I love it when the name's pretty much just
Yeah, so then I feel like an idiot
exactly where it
explaining
is.
Yeah. Anyhow, this is a place that we went to quite a few
Yeah, it's
years,
been
probably like 3 or 4
Yeah,
years.
3 or 4 years ago.
We weren't too crazy about it when we used to go back in the day, but we were convinced to give it another shot. So we went back, we brought Stacy, and now we have a review.
Yep. Basically a general idea of what it is you just go there and they have 3 different attractions, really 2 main attractions and one kind of like little thing.
It was different when we used to go. When we used to go, it was like a little, I don't really want to call it a corn maze because it wasn't big enough to really be a maze. It was like a corn patch.
Like corn walkthrough type thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long. I think it was substantially longer than it used to be, though.
Well, it used to just be like corn standing up. This year it was like a tent.
Yeah, it was like a
building
tent.
thing.
And they filled it with lots of fog. They call it the mist.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very misty.
very misty.
If you've been to Ghost Lake, it's very similar to the fog house, but more
Yeah,
fog.
even more fog and very disorienting.
Yeah, when we went to Ghost Lake, going through that, I couldn't really imagine going through a haunted house with more fog. And then we went through this, and I'm like, oh my god, it's worse.
Right.
Worse in a good way, though. Not in a terrible, not fun way.
Right. And the other attractions that they have, the main attractions, is the haunted house. And one of their featured things they advertise a lot, I think, is they say that they have like over 120 actors throughout the entire thing, not just in the haunted house, but that's their haunted house. And their next attraction, which is the hayride. Those are their 2 main big ones, because you can either purchase a ticket for just the hayride or just the haunted house.
Both of them include the mist, though.
Right. Both of them include the mist, so you have to go to the mist.
Yeah.
You can't just buy a ticket for it, though, because it's too small to just want a ticket for that.
I would really suggest, so if you do go, just go to all 3, because you're going to want to get the whole experience out of it.
Yeah, I always hate that, like, when you go to a place that offers more than one, if you just, like, go to one, then you have that feeling like, well, I wonder
You're
what
always
that...
missing
Right?
something.
It's like, well, I wonder if that one was any good. So just, if you plan on going, just make sure you have enough to go to all 3.
Mm-hmm. Want to get into the rating?
I guess we might as well go ahead and just start it. Yeah, because that's pretty much the general of what it is about, so...
Mm-hmm. Production, we rated a 7.5. One thing I did like with the haunted house, the line does get really long, so I like inside the haunted house, before you go in, there's like a little lobby, and it's all done up, and actors all through it, and they do a good job of scaring you while you wait in line to go through the haunted house.
They stay in there the whole time. They don't leave.
Yeah, they...
Yeah.
And the lights will turn off, and they'll, like, come
People
up and...
screaming and
Yeah.
Yeah.
chaos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They also have cool little spots, like there's holes in the wall in certain spots where you're standing in line. Someone will come out and grab you, like they'll just like grab your side or whatever. Like they do touch there, but very, very lightly. They don't really like grab and do crazy things like the last review we did at Wells Township or anything like that. But
Yeah, they more get in your face, like right up close, more than touching. There's a couple touching spots, but nothing too extreme with the touching.
Mm-hmm.
They had quite a few scenes throughout the hayride. A lot more than there was when we used to go.
Yeah, they had quite a few. The only problem was with the hayride kind of like went really fast through all of it.
I remember when we were standing in line for the mist, I saw the hayride and I'm like, looks like it's chugging along pretty fast, and it does. It goes a little fast.
Yeah, I recommend if you go, try to get a seat towards the middle, because we sat in the very front, and not much happens in the front. It happens in the middle, because as soon as something starts to happen, it seems like they start to go again, which I assume that's for crowd control, because they were extremely busy the night we were there. But
yeah, but there were quite a few scenes that did happen on the hayride. We were just towards the front, so we didn't get to see all of it. I remember when we used to go, one of the main issues I didn't like about the haunted house was it was a lot of dark hallways, walking through dark rooms. So I was glad to see that they added quite a few scenes in the house.
Yeah, there's still some darkness, but there's there's a lot more scenes, and yeah, I mean it was about 30 minutes, so I mean like
You're always on your toes. They keep you on your toes in there.
yeah. I mean the main thing is they pump it through. They pump as many actors as they can into there, so there's constantly someone getting you,
Right.
no matter where you look,
Mm-hmm.
which is yeah. And as always, people happen to ruin the experience about halfway through for us.
Stacy almost fought a teenager.
And the worst part is that they really do. I mean, they allow like almost 2 minutes between each group, so there's no reason someone should have caught up to us. But they were a whole bunch of group of teenage girls, and they ran. And they started slamming into the back of us, and they were trying to get in front of us and stuff. And they kept touching us. And I mean, again, not the haunted house's fault, but it's just amazing how this always happens, no matter where we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And I feel like there was a lot of things in the haunted house that would have got us had these
Right.
girls not been like this on us the
Right.
entire time and
Right.
So
kind
we
of
are
ruining it.
So
for
we are
us.
rating it accordingly, as if though those girls were not there.
Yes, which I hope for everyone watching the sake.
Doesn't-
You don't experience
you
a
don't
group like this,
experience
which
Right.
unfortunately happens too often.
Yeah.
I forget what I was going to say. Throughout the mist, like I said, it was a lot of mist, so you don't really experience any scenes throughout
Yeah,
that.
that's not about scenes or anything.
Yeah.
It's just a maze, and that's what it's made for. So
Yeah.
Occasionally somebody came up right in your face, and you
Right.
couldn't see them until they were right there.
yeah, someone did scare the living shit out of me because I thought something was a wall, and I was reaching out, and he stood. Oh my god, that scared the crap. But yeah, that's probably the only area where they don't have a ton of actors, and I think if they put just a couple more, then they could get you a lot more.
Because there is so many, you can't really see in front of you. I was behind you, I could see you, and that was it. I
Yeah.
could not see anyone in front of you, I couldn't see anything, so more actors in there would have been really effective because you can't see where they're at, you don't see where anything's coming from.
Right.
So if there would have been more actors jumping out, it really would have
Yeah.
pushed up the scare.
But all else I really have to say production is there were some really like interesting things they did too. The one thing that really again grinds my gears is the freaking vortex tunnels. They had 2 of them. They're so annoying.
And claustrophobia.
Right.
I can't stand those either.
I mean, I understand that some people like are really freaked out by claustrophobia tunnels and vortex tunnels, but to me, they just waste space, and especially since there were 2 here, I would have loved to see one of those just gone. And something more creative put there than just a second vortex tunnel to walk through. I just walk through and stare straight ahead like, woo.
Yeah.
Right.
But
They get old.
One
Especially,
is too many, let alone 2.
yeah, I mean, one I understand. For some reason, haunted houses just think they have to have them, but I think
Right.
2 is, you don't need that.
Right.
Yeah.
Overkill.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty much it for production. If you want to lead us into actors.
for actors, we rated an 8. Like we mentioned before, there is a lot of them, especially in the haunted house.
Yeah.
They're everywhere in there. Would have been better if there was more throughout the mist, but there is quite a few on the hayride too.
Yeah. There's quite, and they're pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they managed to scare me quite a few times on the hayride, which isn't easy. I don't normally get scared on hayrides because you're sitting and it feels more safe when you're in a wagon and something's pulling you along. So for an actor to be able to get me on a hayride's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
And they were so full of energy. You would think after so many people coming through they would get tired, but they weren't. They
Yeah.
just kept going and going, like we were the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like, I think I mentioned this in Cavern of the Dead review, I believe it was.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like that actors do when they just come up and start belting out a huge scream in your ear.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, it doesn't scare me. It's just more like I'm deaf.
Yeah, I'm all for the whole breaking of personal boundaries, but there's nothing scarier than, there's nothing more annoying than someone coming up and just screaming right in your ear. Now, maybe like if they catch you off guard, it can scare you, but you could also...
A lot of times they were just walking up on the hayride and just standing in front of you and just screaming in your face, and I'm just like,
It's like, alrighty. Yeah.
ah.
One of my favorite things of, I guess this kind of falls in actors, was there's a whole Christmas scene on the hayride, and there's Santa with a chainsaw, and that was cool.
Yeah.
I like Santa with the chainsaw. That was neat. I haven't seen that. So
Yeah.
that's nice.
But throughout the haunted house and everything, the actors did do a good job staying in character.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much doing a good job of making sure everyone was getting the scare. Like you said, we got stuck by that one group.
Yeah.
And normally in haunted houses, when the actors see someone getting scared, they tend to go after that group more. So I was impressed that they still came after us too, and not just the scaredy teenage girl in the corner.
Yeah, they tried both, but once they caught up to us, it was probably almost a group of 10 people, so it's really hard for one actor to try to pick, to get everyone.
Right.
So
Yeah. Again, not their fault.
right. But yeah, the actors I think were pretty on point. Is there anything you want to?
No, I was just happy with the energy they had after everyone coming through.
Yeah, they were. They were pretty. Yeah, they were pretty persistent.
Yeah.
So that is nice to see.
Yeah. Animatronics and props we rated an 8. I'm not going to go into detail on what it is because it's kind of one of those things you want to experience and you want it to be able to get you, but
Right.
I love Shocktronics.
Yeah, I
And this is
think
only
they're
the
pretty
second
cool.
place we've been to this year that has had them. I wish more places had them because
Yeah.
they're so effective. They're so entertaining.
Yeah, they usually don't get me because I know about them because I research that kind of stuff all the time now. Like if a place makes one their own by themselves, I really don't know if I hadn't seen that one before. I kind of I guessed that that's what it was going to be, was a Shocktronic, but not until it happened was I 100% sure. So that was cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, because not many places. I think Factory Terror is the only other place we've been to this year that I have
Yeah,
seen one,
I'm sure that it's had it.
and I'm sure they're quite expensive. I can't imagine this
Almost
being cheap,
Yeah, most
but
props are.
I wish more places would have those.
Hmm.
For animatronics, they had some,
Yeah.
not a crazy amount.
Yeah,
but
they had more props than animatronic, but they did have some props. They did have a few animatronics though, a fair amount.
mhm. They were all working. They were all going off
Yeah.
when they should have been doing their purpose.
Yeah, like there's some cool like ones on the haunted hayride. They had like a big like pumpkin type thing that would come out at you. They had like a marionette clown that I think danced.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see it that well because I was on, like I said, I was on front row though.
Yeah. They do make good use of their props.
Right.
There's quite a few of them.
But this place is more about the actors. They go for that more, which is perfectly fine. I like the actors probably even more so than the animatronics. And there's a fairly good balance, I think. So they use that pretty well.
One thing I want to mention, I'm not sure if this would really be considered a prop. Might have maybe mentioned it in production, but we didn't. One thing that they also have that Ghost Lake has is the bubble machine, and I want to say that the bubble
That's considered a
machine
prop, I think.
was working very well here. It was ankle deep, not above my head, which is the proper amount of bubbles to walk through. I wasn't drowning in bubbles, so
Yeah, exactly.
not that bubbles are really that scary, but it's
They're
cool.
scary when you're in your eyes and mouth.
Yeah, well, when you're drowning in
You
bubbles,
think
they're
you're gonna die from them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scary in a not so fun way.
Yeah,
Not even really fun torture, just more like torture.
Georgia is kind of fun. Like I kind of enjoyed it.
Mhm.
After it was done, it gave us something to talk about.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something in its own.
Yeah. But bubble machine. Good job.
Yeah,
Good job on the working.
Good job on the working part. That's great. All right, and then our next category is scare factor, which we gave it a 9.
The actors did do a good job of scaring us quite a few times. Like I said,
Yeah.
to scare me on a hayride is definitely a plus. Doesn't happen too often, so definitely glad to see how they've improved on the haunted house and the hayride.
Yeah.
More actors in the mist, like we said.
Yeah, that
Would've
would have
been
made that
nice,
scarier. But
Yeah, I haven't been. I jumped so many times when we went here through the haunted house than I've been to any of the other ones.
right.
So I was really impressed with that because I usually don't jump.
Yeah, and again I said about Canfield, that's their big things are actors. Well, that's another one of their things is scare factor. When you go there, you're not going to see the most elaborate scenes and all that. I mean, there are still some pretty nice scenes, and we've talked to people that run it, and they do this all in 8 days. Because there's a Canfield Fairground, then they have the cleanup for that, and they have the swap meet. Then they have 8 days to set this up.
Which is insane.
That's an insane, and they have an insane amount of stuff they set up in that 8 days. And so that's why I think it's a really good choice on their part to go more for the scare than the, oh, look how amazing this looks. because either one of those two things work. And if they were trying to do the looks, it'd probably end up looking a little more half-assed, but instead they do a more minimalistic approach, which I think works, and then they really get you with the scares, which is
It's
nice.
smart on their part.
Yeah.
You said strive on what you have time to do. You know
Right.
how much time you have. You know it's not a lot. So I'm glad that they really succeed in what they do, put all their effort into, which is the actors, the
Yeah.
amount of scares.
And we've known a lot of people actually that have worked there in the past, at least, and everyone just really loved and enjoyed working there. They just found it to be a blast. So the people that run it must really be enthusiastic about it. And
All right. For value, we rated it an 8. Like we said, you can do the hayride in the mist or the haunted house in the mist for $13.
yeah,
Or all 3 for $22. Which 22, we were probably, not counting lines, it was probably about an hour 15, hour and a half
yeah,
to get through all
So-
3.
yeah. I mean that's
So-
pretty long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe 20. 18 to 20, I feel like would be a better
yeah. We just
price range for all 3, but it's still not a bad value.
yeah. It's not a bad value at all. I mean, it's not the greatest value ever. It's not gonna. But I mean, it's still not like all their price gouging or anything like that. It's just maybe just a tiny bit high, but I'd still recommend it.
And again, it's in Canfield. There's not too much worthwhile in the surrounding area.
Yeah, not without driving and probably about an hour away or more, I'd say probably.
Yeah, so
Around that.
for the location they're at, how long it is, the amount of scares, it is a good value.
Yeah, it's a pretty good value, yeah. Right. I think that pretty much brings us into overall then,
Yep.
because that's
Overall, we rated it an 8.
yep, which is a solid number. I mean, that's definitely a recommended that you go there.
Mm-hmm.
So
With the amount of time that they have to do all these things, how well all these things are done, the scare factor, the value. I mean, really, the actors are what pushes it over
Yeah.
the edge
yeah,
to give it.
And another thing that we didn't mention I really like about it is kind of like Ghost Lake. It has that carnival feel. They have quite a few, more so than I remember there being, quite a few food vendors, like fair vendors. So
And they have a game set up
mhm.
right beside the ticket booth, which I didn't really see what the game was,
Yeah,
but
I
I
think
know
they-
there was
I think they had one. I
prizes.
think they had one other one too. I can't remember what it was. But I thought
Mhm.
they had another one, but I might be wrong. But yeah, and there's also bleachers you can sit on if if your kids are just going. You can sit there, have hot chocolate or fair food or whatever, which is nice for parents that don't want to go through or whatever.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah. The staff there was very nice because we got to talk with some of them. Her name was Tara, I believe. She's like the manager or something of it. I don't know, but she was really nice. We got to talk to one of the people that was doing the tractor driving for one of the hay wagons, and he was really cool as well. They took their time to really talk with us and show us around and all that, and it was really great of them. And if you're watching, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add, Stacy? You haven't really talked much, should you?
I think you guys have covered most of it.
You see, you just have to kind of interject there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done this a few times. You just kind of got to tell us to shut up and be like, I want to talk.
Well, I think that wraps it up for the review, and I will end it with recommending you to our latest thing that we just created, which is Jesse White's camera review. It's not really just a camera review. It's like a little short horror comedy thing that
More comedy.
me and her did. We plan on doing a series with it, so if you watch this, please go over to that video and watch it. I'll probably put a link at the end of the video, but it's not hard just to get in our channel. You can watch any of our other reviews. We have like 8 others, I think, plus the other movie, Save Him, which is our very first one. It's a little rough, but I still think it has a pretty cool concept in it. I think it's pretty neat. She is in it as well.
Yes.
The Black Magic.
Black Magic Bunny.
Black Magic Bunny. And when the next review we will be doing after this is our Cedar Point review. And I think that wraps it for this episode. So thank you guys very much for watching.
Thanks.
Thanks.